Making espresso drinks on a budget at home. For this first method that I'm going to show you, I will be using a Capresso home espresso machine to make a cappuccino. This machine is designed for home use and has a pressurized portafilter basket, meaning the extraction comes out through one little hole on the bottom of the basket. With pressurized baskets, the grind size and extraction time does not matter as much as if it were a non-pressurized basket. For this first drink, I am using Lavazza's pre-ground espresso Italiano. In these basic pump machines, you can use pre-ground coffee, freshly ground whole bean coffee, or espresso pods, which I will show you in the second drink that I make. Here, I'm loading my portafilter basket, and I'm lightly leveling out the grinds. Now, I'm going to slightly compress the grinds, but with very little pressure. Usually, at this step, I'm using a firm pressure to tamp down the grinds, but with this kind of machine, it's not necessary to have to tamp down with such force. Now, I am inserting the portafilter, and I'm going to pull approximately 2 ounces of coffee. I'm not being as precise as I normally would be. As you can see, the shot is coming out extremely fast. This is normal for a basic machine like this. The pressure is being made by the pressurized basket as opposed to the puck of coffee like in my rocket espresso machine. I'm now removing the portafilter, and one thing you will notice is that the espresso puck has a very soupy texture. This is normal. It is a little bit harder to clean this machine than it is to clean my other machine, but for the sake of budgeting, it's a very small inconvenience. Now, before you froth milk, always be sure to purge out any condensation or moisture that is trapped inside the steam wand. I haven't used this machine in a few months, so it definitely needed a purge. Now, that little black piece on the steam wand is called an automatic frother, which makes it so you can make a nice cappuccino foam without needing any frothing skill. It takes quite a bit more time than it would with my rocket machine for the milk to heat up to temperature, but that's okay, we are on a budget. Now, another thing you'll notice about this machine is that the automatic frother makes a significant amount of foam. Now, this is okay for a cappuccino, but it isn't as good for a latte or flat white microfoam. If you wanted to make those kind of drinks, you would have to learn the skills of texturing milk and upgrade your machine to one that has a manual steaming wand. If the foam starts to raise higher and higher in the pitcher, you can lower the steam wand deeper into the milk and the foam won't grow as much. When the pitcher gets too hot to touch, turn off the steam wand, remove the pitcher, and immediately wipe off the wand and purge it. The frother on this wand is removable, so it's very easy to clean. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to purge the wand after steaming unless you want a really nasty result. Now swirl the pitcher and tap it to get rid of the big bubbles in the foam. It will be a lot more consistent this way. Then, all you need to do is pour your milk in and the foam on top of the drink, and boom, there's your cappuccino. And serve it up and enjoy. For the second drink, you'll need to use a single shot basket to accommodate the espresso pod. This basket is just like the first, except a lot smaller. For this drink, I'm using Secuzzo's Grande Italia Mischela Originale in pod form. If you are into whole bean coffee, I seriously recommend them. It is unbelievable. They are a local roaster, and they make some of the best beans you'll ever have. So basically, here, I am putting the pod inside the portafilter, hooking it up to the machine, and turning it on. That simple. And like the other shot, it comes out very, very fast, but that is normal. And boom, there you have it. A shot of espresso, and for pod coffee, that makes some pretty decent crema, I have to admit. Now, one of my favorite things about pods is they make the cleanup so much easier than if you were to use pre-ground coffee. I highly recommend using pods if you're just getting into espresso. And once again, I'm frothing the milk, getting it to the texture I desire, and It's pretty much out of your control with this machine, but once again, we're on a budget. Once again, I tap the pitcher, swirl the milk around, and just pour the milk and foam in, and there's another cappuccino for you, made with an espresso pod. Also, please forgive the horrible angle of me pouring in the milk. It's the result that matters ultimately. And like Bob Ross says, everyone needs a friend. So there you go. There's the second cappuccino and the coffee I used to make it. Now, if you want to be old school, we use one of these, a mocha pot. Now, basically, a mocha pot is made up of 3 components. You have the chamber that holds the water, the little filter basket that holds the coffee grind, and the upper chamber, which contains the spout that moves the brewed coffee into that upper chamber through pressure built by boiling water. Now, to load this, you take out the little filter basket and load it with pre-ground coffee. One thing about the mocha pot is you cannot use pods with this. You can only use pre-ground coffee or freshly ground whole bean coffee. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm just filling up the basket all the way to the top, and I'm going to level it off with my finger, make sure your hands are clean, and be prepared to clean up a little bit of a grind mess after. And there's the grinds in the basket. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take some cold, fresh water and pour it in just underneath that little dot inside the chamber called the safety valve. And after that, what you're going to do is you're going to grab your basket, put it inside the water chamber, and then screw the top on as tight as possible. I can't emphasize enough that this is a pressure vessel, and if this is not on tight, it will explode, and you'll have a bigger mess than grinds to clean up. Now, turn your stove on medium heat and put the pot on top of the stove. It should take about 5 minutes to get some coffee from it. Now what you're going to see from the little spout there is coffee slowly starting to come out and fill up the upper chamber. Now you'll notice that the coffee is getting lighter and lighter, and eventually you're going to see just bubbles start to come out of the spouts, and you will hear a little bit of a gurgling sound, and then you will turn off the heat and remove it from the heat immediately. Otherwise, it will become burnt and taste terrible. There's your coffee. Looks absolutely gorgeous. Old school Italian style, baby. So for this drink, we're not going to be using any milk. This is a drink that my grandfather used to make on the holidays for the family, and I cannot wait to show you it. So you pour in the espresso, and then you get a nice bottle of Sambuca, which is a anisette-type liquor, and you pour in as much as you desire. And believe me, it is a delicious espresso drink. It might give you a little bit of a tipsy feeling, but it's totally worth it. And there's your 3 espresso drinks, all affordable, on a budget, and I really hope that you enjoyed this video.